Hi, this is Reese Roper, and you're listening to our newest podcast ever.
Hey, everybody, this is Andrew and John, and we love this podcast because it's about us.
Welcome to Magnified Pod, the second season, our newest podcast ever. And what are you doing? You should be going to the Five Iron Frenzy Kickstarter page right now, where they are funding their latest album, Until This Shakes Apart. You can download and stream their new song, So We Sing. Also, I'm Andrew.
I'm John. All of that is true.
All of that is true. This is our podcast. And we're literally not going to do anything up front because we're talking to Andy Verdecchio today. And we're going to be talking about the Kickstarter. We're going to be talking about the new single. We're going to be talking about the album. We're going to be talking Fast Feeling. We're going to be talking all of it. We got some talking Five Iron set list that John and I put together. Andy put together one too. So we got a lot coming up.
Yeah, man. It's an exciting day in Five Iron Frenzy Land, in Magpod Nation. It's all coming together.
It's crazy, John. We started this season off in January, and little did we know that the culmination of the end of this season would be talking about the launching of the new Five Iron Frenzy Kickstarter.
We got a good track record here for bands that we're choosing releasing albums while we're doing the podcast.
That is true. So I guess we need to be this third season. I don't know if our track record proves anything. There could be a bunch of new music coming out.
Get that Magpod momentum.
Yeah, that Magmentum.
That's right.
That will never catch on. All right. I said no bullshit. Let's just get to the good stuff. Our conversation with Andy. Also, you're still listening. Go to the Kickstarter right now and check out what they got over there. But here is our conversation with Andy Verdecchio. John, today on Magnified Pod, we have Andy Verdecchio closing out our second season of Magnified Pod. He is the Five Iron Frenzy drummer. He is an author and poet. Andy, welcome back to Magnified Pod. You were on our first season, and it seems fitting that you close out this last season. So welcome back.
Glad to be here.
So let's just get right to the crux of this. Five Iron Frenzy, brand new album, Kickstarter launching today. People can go check it out right now. There's a new single that people can stream and download. So what can you tell us about this new single?
The new single is called So We Sing, and it's about being in Five Iron Frenzy. This album has a lot of dark themes in it, but not this song. This is like the song that is it's a happy song.
That was one thing we actually discussed, is that like based on what we had heard from you guys about the record and kind of the state of the world and everything, and the album title being Until Things Shake Apart, which sounds ominous, we sort of expected the first song to be maybe a little darker. And it's interesting that the first one is kind of, that Hope Still Flies vibe, like the hopefulness of Five Iron. Can you talk about like how you guys decided on this being the first song? Was it part of the theme of it being the reason?
Well, I mean, like you said, a lot of the tone of the overall record is pretty dark, but we had talked about, there was another song that we had talked about having be our first song called While Supplies Last.
Yes.
But it would be, I don't know, we were just thinking that there's a lot of, it's pretty heavy time.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought a little bit of positivity would taste nice,
Yeah.
you know, in the midst of all this awful feelings and disease and riots and stuff. I mean, unrest and everything. It's just, we felt like maybe a little positivity would be refreshing.
Well, let's dive into it then and hear some of the song.
Yeah, let's check out some of So We Sing. Oh man,
dig it.
Those horns.
Oh yes, love that.
I'm gonna break both legs tonight. Destruction for your appetite. I hope Dennis took you out alone. We're gonna buy this microphone. Pull the trigger for some friendly fire. Let's hold this bass through the amplifier. If this is only tonight, we can't fly, so we sing. Seconds on to the right, and straight ahead till morning. Raise your glasses to the sky.
Oh man, I listening to this mix and I got so psyched, you know, as you know, we'd heard the previous mix and Reese's vocals being so much more forward and the horns being so crisp. And John and I were talking before you came on, how there's something that Jeremy does that he is on these last two records, that he has done something with your drums. He has mic'd or he has mixed or he has done something with your drum sound, and they always just sound so great. So we are can you tell us a little bit about the
So these drums for this record were recorded at Scott's house, actually.
Okay.
And Scott and Micah produced and engineered, mostly Scott, but Micah as well engineered and produced the record. Jeremy's just mixing.
Okay.
And recording Reese's vocals as well.
Okay.
But that drum sound, that's Scott's living room, man.
Damn.
And it just sounds.
That is Scott and Micah, their setup for your drums, and Jeremy S.H. Griffith is the one who's mixing it all.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. But I will say this, one thing I like about, because I've recorded with Scott twice and Jeremy just the one time, but the one thing I do like about Scott and Jeremy's style of producing is there's a lot of enthusiasm on a good take.
Mm.
So if there's a good take, man, you know, they're on it with like, that was really good, or, you know, that Phil kicked ass or whatever. And especially on this record, and not quite as much on the Fast Feeling and the last Five Iron record, but it was still there with that too. It's a lot more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel as much pressure.
Mm.
I know that what I'm going to do is going to, you know, I know that the people that are putting it together are going to like it.
Yeah.
So
what do you attribute that, like, newfound being relaxed about it to? Like, is it where you guys are at now? Is it how you're feeling about, you know, the process?
So we did this last record in 3 sessions for the drums.
Okay.
So we weren't in a huge hurry.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, which is also kind of why this album has taken such a long time. I mean, we had demos like 3 years ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
that we were kicking around, and I mean, we just really took our time with this record. And I mean, if I played the demos, some of the demos that I sent out, well, Scott's demos are always pretty fleshed out from the start, but like my demos and Reese's demos and everything, they don't sound like the same songs because they've evolved so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something tells me a 2017 record would have sounded different than a 2020 record as far as lyrically speaking.
For sure.
I mean, so we talked a lot about when we had Jeremy on the show about the sound changing for Engine and sort of like feeling like some of the live sound of you guys was captured on that record in a way that maybe it hadn't been before. Like, I think especially with the drums. So it's interesting to hear, you know, with setting up with Scott and Mike at this time, like how did you approach the drum sound? Did you have a particular way that you wanted them to go? Did you have a setup that you wanted to use, or were you just kind of trusting that those guys would be able to create the best sound?
Well, I mean, I have my normal setup, which is kind of how I like things to sound. But as far as the snare sound, we had this bell brass Pearl snare drum, and it was just banging.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure, and that was the first grouping of songs that we used that on, and we weren't sure if we were gonna record again, and it was Scott's, and he sold it.
Okay.
But then I got this deal with Badger Drum Company, and dude built me a kit, and the snare sounds fantastic. And so it's a little bit of that bell brass snare and a little bit of this 8x14 maple and birch snare.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just, both of them just sound killer. The maple one's a little warmer.
Okay.
But you know, and then as far as just feel goes, I've just been listening to a lot of traditional ska, reggae, and rocksteady stuff, and just really deep diving and you know, getting my fingernails dirty, you know, and I just started playing along to a lot of that stuff, and it kind of shaped my drumming for this record. I mean, I always liked that stuff, and I always played along to it, but I never had such a hyper focus on it like I did preparing for this record.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like each of you who we've had on the show have talked about the, you know, leaning in the direction of kind of two-tone sound more for this record. And I feel like from second one of hearing those horns on this song, it's just like, oh, I know exactly where we're at. It's like, I don't know if it's like the punchiness or something of the horn sound, but it just immediately captures that kind of vibe. And
it's got great. Those like dubby kind of echo things going on that I'm just like, I'm immediately into that sort of, that kind of sound, because I'm here for it. So what you're saying is we can expect a little bit more of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's still a Five Iron record. I don't want to give the wrong impression that it's like a two-tone record.
Sure.
You know, obviously by listening to that last track, you know, but there's a lot of influence of like dub and traditional ska, rocksteady stuff on this record, way more than any of our other records. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I don't know, is it a actual bass or is it keys that form that kind of main hook in the song? The dun 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's just his bass with effects on it. Yeah.
Okay, it's awesome. Like I thought it was at first, and then when it gets to the kind of the second to last chorus, it's got that sort of organy sound, and I was like, maybe this is all keys. I don't know.
You'll be pleasantly surprised at the number of bloops and bleeps.
I can't wait.
There's for a Five Iron record. There's a few bloops and bleeps. There's a few bloops and bleeps in there. Not a lot, but
I want those bloops and bleeps. I love the synthy flourishes in there too. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to dig in a little bit to, there's that, that fuzzy bass line. I feel like it's just a great hook. It's an immediate sort of like, this is a song that you can build, or this is a hook that you can build a song around. It's so memorable. And the general vibe of it, like we were saying, I mean, it's kind of this return to sort of the Five Iron mission statement of sort of, Reese is talking about sort of Peter Pan, the idea of like finding hope and joy in the band despite circumstances. And I gotta say, this is the first proper Five Iron swear word, I think, which, with MXPX, when we were covering them last season, they put out a new album. They had their first swear word. You guys are doing it now. I just feel like we're a bad influence. But
I mean, I really, we're just riding on their coattails. We're just repeating their stuff because we're like, hey, that worked. Let's try that. I actually like. It's one of my favorite. It is actually it's my favorite line in the song.
Yeah.
No. It's my second favorite. We could even do a top 5 for lyrics in the song.
Let's play the part that we're referring to, because we haven't gotten there yet. So
I don't know if my bones heal yet, but I'm jumping off
This drum set. That's my favorite line.
yeah.
Let's build a fire from my broken past. Let's yell all the grown-ups they can kiss our ass. If this is only tonight.
That line delivery is great.
Yeah.
His Yelly Reese is, of course, I'm on the record. We're both on the record being a big fan of Yelly Reese. But that line delivery, tell all the grown-ups they can kiss our ass.
Well, yes, we're big fans of So We Sing. I just wanted to, along the lines of lyrics that we love, the song closes out with, the moment the world begins to sting, we are alive if we still sing. And again, I kind of feel like that's maybe like this album's Hope Still Flies sort of mantra, like in the face of everything that's happening right now. So I don't know, that really resonated with me. I think it's a cool place to sort of end and call the song on.
Speaking of bridges,
Yes.
I mean, did it pass the test? Is it good, or?
I do love a bridge. It's true. I like it a lot. I think my favorite part might be like the transition from the bridge back into like the second to last chorus, where it really peels
Where
back
Reese
and
carries
slows down.
that note.
Yes, that's great.
That part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the reason that I love bridges so much or talk about them a lot is because it's like, if I can follow the song on a journey, I'm like, verse, I'm with you, chorus, I'm with you. If it like pushes up to the next place with the bridge, then I'm really like, okay, I'm fully locked in with where the song is taking me. And I definitely think that happens with this one. So yes. See,
it's funny because I am exactly the same way about a good bridge. You can I feel like the verse and the chorus are like the first and second act of a play, and the bridge is where everything comes together, and you have your opportunity to like, this is exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes if the bridge is a bummer, it's like, oh, that's too bad. I really wanted to be on board. But if it takes you to that next level, it's like, oh, well, I'm into this. Yes, it passes the John Bridge seal of approval.
Nice.
So, Andrew, are there other things about So We Sing you want to bring up, or should we?
I think everybody just needs to go download it, stream it, play it a bunch. I've been listening to it a lot. There are already so many hooky parts to it that I'm finding myself, singing along. And I think I can foresee this being such a great live song. So I'm psyched for that. So everybody should go download So We Sing. And also check out the Kickstarter. I don't at launch date, today, what can people expect to find at this point on the Kickstarter?
There are, I mean, obviously, digital download, vinyl,
Right on.
t-shirts,
Yes.
actual physical copies of CDs, hoodies, and then like some of the other cooler items are like I'm gonna be putting all of my heads that I used
Mhm.
recording this.
Mhm.
I'll be putting all those up, and they'll all be signed by the band.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
So that's one of them. Virtual drum lesson. I'm gonna do a virtual drum lesson.
Rad.
Hell yeah.
So there's some cool stuff like that in there, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's weird because last time we had like come to Denver and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, right.
show you around or get a ticket to the Kickstarter release party or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just such a different world now.
Yeah.
We had to be really creative this time around, and
Yeah.
there'll be some pretty cool items in there for people to pick up.
And so one can, of course, expect Cheeses 3, right? I think we can all agree that there needs to be a third Cheeses.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I've been preparing for that too. I've I've been digging into some of my old stacks. You know, Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
Wayne Newton.
Right on.
So yeah, I mean, you can really expect something special from Cheeses 3. No, we're not really thinking about doing that again.
You gotta complete the holy trinity of cheeses.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
know.
Andy, I'm gonna text you right now. I created a mock-up of a Cheeses album, a Cheeses 3 album title or album cover, and
Okay.
I'll just get those creative juices flowing, you know.
yeah, and I sent it to
No
Reese, and
response.
he didn't. No, he liked it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything other than, I don't know. It might. Speaking of maybe being a little offensive, on the offensive side, I don't know, but the Cheeses albums, especially the first one, pushed the boundaries of.
We'll have to maybe post this on our social channels. Yeah, I had to Google
advisory.
Oast. I didn't know what that was.
Holy Oast, yeah. So I called it Father, Son, and Holy Oast, and holy spelled HOLEY, Oast being Swedish for cheese, and Five Iron Frenzy has a whole bunch of umlauts over it, and it's called the Trinity Edition. It needs to fulfill the Trinity possibility of a 3 album. It's got the Cheeses of Nazareth, got the Second Coming. It's got to be. Then you got to get to the Trinity part. I just feel like it's there. It's right there. There's so much possibility. Anyway,
in the meantime, folks can contribute to the campaign from today, September 1st through September 30th, for the new Kickstarter.
I know. I'm going to be scooping up hella vinyl.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of hella vinyl, maybe Andy, can we talk about some other stuff? Maybe one of those things being, we could talk about Fast Feeling. We talk about, or maybe people don't know that I held up a Fast Feeling vinyl that I just got in the mail today from the lovely Leonore.
When we had you on before, we hadn't really started the proper Five Iron season, so I feel like we had all these questions that we formed since then. So we didn't get to talk to you about any of the side projects or any of that. Yeah. So we've got some wondering about your experiences with those bands. Night. All right,
give me all you got.
Perfect.
Give me all you got.
That's the energy. That's the energy that we want. I don't know. I don't know if you want to try and break Reese's interview record, where he talked with us for 4.5 hours. So I don't know if you really do have that kind of time. But so the Fast Feeling experience, working with Scott and Leonore and Matt from 11D7, that you were contributing to lyrically to the Fast Feeling. Isn't that the case, that you're writing some and
a little bit, not like a whole. We collaborated
right
with lyrics. So the song "Dangerous."
Mm-hmm.
So Matt had originally written lyrics for that song, and the vibe was completely different. And I just had this. I mean, like it was like a template, and so I just had this vision in my head of like, somebody that's really down on their luck, and they're like, one of these days I'm going to be dangerous. It's the first thing that popped in my head. I was so this album, we recorded this album while my wife was going through chemotherapy for breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, so recording this record it's weird because at the time it was such a dark time for me, but like now that I'm on the other side of it, and having been slightly further removed from it, and hoping that it never comes back, looking back on that record, it's like it's one of the things that kept me going during that period, because I went to a real dark place, and so there's a lot of emotion on those songs.
Yeah. And you and this was, I seem to remember you saying that you met Matt Langston in a very interesting day.
Yeah. So we had plans to start talking about recording and stuff. And Matt was flying out, and it was the day that my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh man.
So we just found out that day, and then they came walking in the door and had no idea. And and I had to break it to them, and they were just like, we can go or whatever. And it was a weird way to meet somebody.
Yeah.
But Matt is, he's top brass, man. He's a cool guy for sure. I love him.
It's a good dude.
He's a great dude.
How's your wife doing these days?
She's great.
Good.
She's great. So they just got back, had a mommy-daughter date.
Nice.
And my wife's a hairstylist, sorry. And we're opening a salon.
Cool.
Oh,
And
nice.
and so my wife took my daughter over to her salon and gave her a little haircut, and they went and had dinner and stuff. And then my son and I had fries and chicken wings and watched Cobra Kai.
Nice. I've heard it's good.
Yeah. So, but she's great, man. I mean,
Good.
She's the toughest person I know.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. I know a lot of tough guys.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We talked to Leonor about everybody who we've talked to about Fast Feeling has said it's like one of the most collaborative projects they've been a part of. But kind of talking about maybe like your approach to the songs for that record and it being a dark time. Leonor talked about how she was working on the song Songbird, and this kind of like sweet romantic song, and you were like convinced that it was like a melancholy, like this does not end happily type of love song.
Yeah.
Was that like, did you want, what kind of like ground did you want to explore with Fast Feeling that you maybe didn't get a chance to with other bands? Was there stuff that you wanted to do there?
I loved the amalgam of drums and electronica.
Yeah.
Like live drums and electronica. That is, we kind of did it with Brave Saint Saturn, but not in this way.
Yeah.
Fast Feeling is such a different record than anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
And so, when Scott asked me if I wanted to come on, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Sounds great.
how do you compare your times in like Fast Feeling and Brave Saint Saturn and Yellow Second? Do those just feel like, are they compartmentalized? Or are you just like, that was its own thing, or this was a different time? And because they were in different spaces of time.
Well, technically, all three of those projects are still active. Technically.
Interesting.
So, like another Yellow Second record I don't think is out of the question.
Oh, hell yes.
Nah, look, I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying that like if
that's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear.
1%.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
No, it's all this 1 in a million talk.
I think no, I think there's a chance for all three of those. I just pitched Reese an idea for another Brave Saint Saturn trilogy.
Cool.
And he liked it. It's in regards to the story.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to hear that part though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you're ready, come back on the pod and tell us about.
I mean, it may never even happen. It's just
sure.
These are just those stirring the water kind of things to see if.
Yeah. Is there a particular?
I don't know where it was going. I don't know where it's going with that colloquialism.
I was just jumping in.
So I have to tell you this because this involves Five Iron Frenzy. So, we used to have these like getaways, like these spiritual retreats, and we would have them every year, and we would make business decisions for the year, what the next year was going to look like, and then it would be like this prayer retreat with just us, like the band and the pastor, right? And Mike Sayers was our pastor at the time. He's Scum of the Earth pastor. But anyways, so we'd have these retreats and we'd be talking about important stuff, and like I would always come up with these sayings that they didn't mean anything. It was just like I was trying to say something, but it just came out all wrong. It's kind of like, have you ever heard the Brian Regan bit about take luck?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. Like it's a real problem that I have. It's like I do not have a leash on my brain. It just goes where it wants to go, and sometimes it's taking me one direction, and then it goes, no, we're going over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have no control of it. My mouth just follows so long. So anyways, that being said, we're having this important meeting and they wanted my opinion on it. And I go, I'm just another fish in the pot, guys. and they have been breaking balls on that one for like 20 years easy.
Oh man, classic potfish, one of those.
It's like that old saying, like how many babies can you fit in the tire?
Right. Yeah.
The old sea shanty from the sea.
I saw you post that the other day. That was one of my favorite. There's something about Mary quotes. Oh man. Okay. So what I was actually going to ask was, is there?
We want to talk about trolling the fans.
We can talk about that.
I've been trolling the fans a lot.
No, I can tell. I can tell when you're logged in to the Five Iron account.
Yeah.
Lots of shit posting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what the internet's there for, man.
Exactly.
Just to post garbage. Look at this garbage. Look at this garbage I found on the street. It smells bad. Smell it. Oh, it does smell bad.
Share this awful smell with me, everyone. No, I was just gonna ask, like, is there a particular sound of maybe one of those bands, Brave Saint Saturn, Yellow Second, Fast Feeling, or something else that you are particularly interested in exploring that you don't get to explore in Five Iron? Like, is there another kind of sandbox that you want to play in more than others?
I've always wanted to be in a rockabilly band.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
and play standing up like Slim.
Yeah.
But I've kind of lost interest in rockabilly lately. I'd love to be in a legit reggae band.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do anything that's outside of the scope that I've ever done. Just
Sure.
because, like, the one thing I love about touring is when you're around musicians that are better than you. If you're a real musician and you're around a lot of musicians that are better than you, you want to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys are ever skaters, but it's kind of like skating with someone that's better than you, because you see them do an awesome trick and you get stoked, and it pushes you, not only like in like a disciplined way, but like in just like a adrenaline kind of way,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with music. Like when you're playing with musicians that are better than you,
Yeah.
it really draws the musician out of you, makes you want to be better.
Yeah. If I would ever be in another band, I would 1000% want to assemble people that were unequivocally better and smarter and more proficient than me. And I think some people might find that intimidating, but it's like that's how you grow. And it's also, if you're starting off with, the lowest common denominator, then, what do you expect? How much can you expect to grow?
Here's a weird thing. I've always wanted to do at Christmas time. I've always wanted to do just a jazz trio.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just doing like all Christmas songs. And I really when Dennis was living in Denver, I tried to get him to do it a few times, and I think we probably were just both busy because it was the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for some reason I'm hung up on trombone. It's got to be trombone. I mean, It could be piano or bass, but it's got to be trombone. Mm-hmm. Just because for some reason I feel like that instrument has the capacity to sound really beautiful and soothing, and like, and it's always used for That's when you think of trombone, that's what you think of. But I've always wanted to do a jazz trio of all, and I don't know where we would even play. I would just set up on 16th Street Mall downtown.
Sure.
And and just play.
That sounds awesome.
But I've always wanted to do something like that, man. Like something that's not in the setting of like a punk rock show.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Although you mentioning rockabilly does prompt me to talk about Trombone in the Face for a second.
That's right. That's right.
Because that was you, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I love that song.
We are huge fans. It's funny because we talk about like, Second Coming of Cheeses being joke songs, but like there are some legit really good songs, and that is one of them. So
thanks, man.
Is that like, I mean, that sort of vibe of the sort of like whatever you want to call it, punkabilly, gothabilly, sort of darker rockabilly with like the hardcore elements, is that something you'd be interested in exploring further? Like you said, are you kind of done with that at this point?
No, I mean, if I was going to do rockabilly, I mean, I think I'd want it to be more like traditional rock and roll.
Sure.
Gene Vincent, Eddie Cochran.
Okay.
Little Richard,
Sure.
But
not so much Tiger Army.
I mean, I don't have anything against Tiger Army, and I was in a horror punk band.
Oh man.
And we played with like the Coffin Cats.
Cool.
And I don't know if you've ever heard of Calabrese.
Maybe.
They're a band out of Phoenix. I always drop their name in interviews because I love those guys, and I haven't seen them in so long. But
cool.
Yeah, I wish them well all the time. What
was the horror punk band called?
It was called Big Fucking Thunder.
Okay, yes, I am familiar with this. I fully support this notion of you doing a rockabilly project at some point, but horror punk sounds awesome. So,
So
yeah.
I sent some songs to Andrew. Did he not share them with you?
No, I don't think I actually ended up sharing them with John.
What's a dick?
Sorry. Like
Look, it is so. So I will tell you.
You give you gave some qualifications when you sent them to me, and
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was my. I guess I could have asked if I could send it to John, but I didn't feel like it was my place to like.
This is Big Fucking Thunder songs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Man, the cat's out of the bag now.
Well,
We're getting Five Iron's getting canceled for sure now, man. No, look, the thing about this band was we were trying to kind of do like a kitschy like horror show kind of thing.
Love it.
And the whole backstory of it is that we were redneck zombies from Hucklebuck, Colorado.
This rules.
Hucklebuck doesn't exist, but we were and we all had stage names. So I was Cooter, and then there was Bubba and Early.
Uh-huh.
And it was awesome. We had a giant pentagram on stage. And there was like all kinds of horror and gore, and we wore makeup. We wore like corpse paint makeup, kind of.
Rules.
Am I blowing your mind right now?
I love it. I just want to. I will tell you, if you Google Big Fucking Thunder, nothing good comes up.
I'm sure it doesn't, because it really wasn't anything beyond just like a local kind of a joke band that I did with my friends and like our friends in the Denver area.
Okay.
So it was real small. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, so yeah, we were from Hucklebuck, Colorado. Oh, we had a song called Chupacabra.
Okay.
And when we would play that song, a guy dressed up in a Chupacabra outfit would come on stage and we would battle.
Oh man. Okay. You need to create a tier on this Kickstarter to have Big Fucking Thunder reunites, and I'll pay whatever amount it is. I want to see this happen.
I'm amazed that I'm even talking about this right now.
It sounds wonderful.
I will say this: the songs are real off color, man. Like,
Okay.
so we wanted to be like a cross between like Guar and Andrew Dice Clay and like Rodney Dangerfield.
Okay.
Like just real stupid, way too arrogant. Then we should know, like we should know better, but we're just too arrogant. Like, and then just nothing ever goes right for us.
Right.
But the songs are super off color, and they're meant to be like the kind of humor that's like shocking, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say that,
right,
kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think it's fantastic.
I was into a number of the jams, so
right,
I'll make sure to send them to John. But I will say this, Andy. In searching Big Fucking Thunder, you come up in you.
we can move on.
No. I just want
let me ask this question.
No, it's not so much. It's not. I just want you to know that you have made the list of AV Club's worst band names of 2007. This guy put together a list. I did
see that. I saw that.
Yeah, and so yours is under using the word "fuck" in your band name.
Dude, there are so many bands in Denver that have the word "fuck" in their name. Like, the punk scene is like littered with them over here.
Who wrote that AV Club piece? Because I used to work there.
This guy named Kyle Ryan.
Oh, I know Kyle. Fascinating. Well, let's move this train along.
Hey, did you know I was in a in a Op Ivy tribute band.
Ooh.
Is this why you cover sound system?
Partially, yeah.
Okay.
Mostly, I just wanted. I'm very insecure, and I always want attention. I'm like me. I gotta have it. Gotta.
Well, you're always at the back of the
And
stage, so you got to get up there sometime.
That's right.
No, but no, like we opened for Five Iron at not 15th Street Tavern, the High Dive.
Okay.
And
What was the band name?
the Freeze Ups.
Cool.
Nice.
Into it.
Yeah.
That was a real highlight of the set for us when you did the Op Ivy song. So I support more of
Nice.
that as well.
Very nice.
All right. What I mean, I do want to talk about El Pollo from Second Coming of Jesus also. Do we?
So it's a beautiful song.
It rules.
Black metal inspired, it seems.
Yeah. Was that all you as well?
It's about my late grandmother and a chicken dish that she would make, and it was
very emotional.
It was called El Pollo de Muerte es Suyo.
Okay.
The chicken of death is yours. It's an offering.
Okay.
Right. So
Right on.
because the chicken has been killed,
Right.
and made into this thing that you eat, and then and now it's yours. It's a dead chicken. You can have it.
Sure. I like it. It's kind of like
The chicken.
a philosophy for life.
Yeah.
You know?
I really hope my humor is landing right now, because that's really hard to tell with you two.
No, I know. I just don't know if. I hope listeners are able to understand that this is
Like halfway through, I was like, maybe this is real. I don't know.
No. But that is what I say. El Pollo de Muerte es Suyo.
That's awesome.
Was the chicken of death is yours?
I assume that was a brainchild of yours as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that song is great.
So it's funny because the way that song came about, believe it or not, there's a story behind it.
Let's hear it.
So I was like, I wonder what it would be like if I just created a drum beat in like the format of a song and sent it to Micah to see if he could, like, what he would come up with.
Got it.
And that's what he came up with.
That's so great.
And I just, it had to be the chicken of death is yours. There's no other lyrics that could go there.
Obviously. Yeah. No, if there's a full EP of you and Micah collabs in that way, I would support that as well.
Last episode, when we were doing our top 5 Iron records and asking listeners to submit their top 5 Iron records, one of the things that we were noticing, there's not an understood or agreed upon 5 Iron album ranking.
Okay.
So, like, going into this season, I thought I would have been able to guess a general idea of what, if I were to say, what is the general fan consensus around album rankings? I thought I would have had it, but it is so all over the place how people rank 5 Iron records. And something that was my brother actually was wondering, and this is there because John and I were also trying to figure out, like, how is it that it's so all over the place? And sometimes it's when were you first introduced to the band that might have an impact. Like if your first introduction was Boogaloo or your first introduction was Upbeats, those might be at the top of your list. But my brother was wondering if there is any sort of distinction between the ska scene and the ska punk scene versus the church market shows, like the difference between playing a church show and playing a club with other ska bands, like if that had an impact on the kind of 5 Iron album you prefer. And so I guess I don't necessarily have a question around that other than if you have any observations to that sense. But I was also wanting to get an idea of your experience in those kinds of different markets, the church market, the youth group shows versus playing a regular club with, like Less Than Jake or some other, secular.
I mean, we always, everyone in the band preferred the club shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we all prefer playing clubs, mostly because it's usually far more professional environment. People know what they're doing. And there's not a lot of freedom when you play in a church. I mean, they may not put specific rules on you, but you feel constrained because there's things that you can't say. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you can't, or things you can't do. And but when you're playing in a club, you're just playing to your fans, not 50 kids from the vineyard that their youth pastor dragged them along to see this show, and they don't even want to be there to begin with.
Right.
I would say for sure, like I can't think of there's not a single church show that stands out to me in all of the church shows that we've played. And I easily could name my top 3 favorite shows that we've ever done. And
none of them are at a church.
None of them are church shows.
What were they?
Well, Ska Against Racism is probably number 1. The Mad Caddies tour was awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Kickstarter show.
Yeah. We were not there. And if life was normal, we would be at this one. But, maybe sometime next year, there'll be something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the last show, it was, the reason I feel like it's not in my top 3 is because it was, I mean, I really thought that was the end of Five Iron for good.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people would ask me if we're ever getting back together, and I would just laugh and be like, that's never going to happen. I just, not because there was any sort of animosity or anything like that. It was just because, I mean, being spread all over the country and just, pragmatically speaking, getting 8 people on the same page that are all in completely different spots now, and, in their personal lives. I mean, this is why a lot of times when bands get back together, let me rephrase that, because that's going to sound arrogant and lame. And I don't mean it that way. A lot of times, when there's a pause and these members try to get back together, it doesn't gel the way it used to, because they're all so different,
Right.
like especially when it's like trying to capture that old sound.
Right.
And I think the reason it works for us is that we sort of, instead of trying to shy away from it, we sort of leaned into our age and our having being seasoned and by life and the road and being a musician for however long, each of us have been musicians. So I think that's why the more somber stuff works now.
Yeah.
with a lot of our fans, is because they grew up too.
Right.
I mean, we have younger fans as well, but I mean, the older fans that have been with us from Upbeats, and even later after that, even if they didn't get into us until say Electric Boogaloo, they still have kind of grown with us and watched the evolution of our band, and they've grown too, and they're kind of in the same spot, I think. I mean, not exactly, but there's a lot of different type of questions that come with being older, in your 40s, and different things that you think about that are important to you. And like I said, with this stuff, this new stuff, we just, instead of shying away from it and being afraid of it, we kind of leaned into it.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like it's such a testament to you guys as people and as musicians that like clearly what brought you back together and what's keeping you guys together is the fact that you want to do this together and want to be with each other, which is already sort of like unusual when it comes to these long lasting bands or groups of people. But the fact that it's that plus you then created some of objectively your best music you've ever done. Like that's a rare combination of things, I think. So I don't know. I feel like it's not just that you guys are like, well, we have a great time together. It's like, we have a great time together. We still love each other, even though we're in different places, and we're creating some of the best art we've done yet. Like, I think that's rare and really cool.
Yeah, our friendship runs real deep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that makes all the difference. Like, if I think there are some bands that they could reunite, phone it in, rake in the money for a comeback, and then bounce and put out just some lame record. But the fact that you guys got back together at all, put out an amazing record, and in 2013, and you've been taking your time. Like, you're not phoning this in. You are showing this album and the music the love that it's also just historically different than what your experience was early on in your career, where you needed to pump out record after record and be on the road all the time. So you are taking your time and you're putting the thought and care into the music, and that shows.
Thank you. I like I said, I mean, it's still Five Iron Frenzy, but this is a different record. And I mean, I'm excited to bring the fans along on this journey. This is, for us, it's probably the worst thing we've ever done. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard the Shags, but it's almost as good as that.
Okay, sweet. So like completely different time signatures for each instrument kind of thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of avant-garde stuff in there.
Cool.
At one point, we just held a hamster up to the microphone.
Yeah.
It wasn't chirping though. We couldn't get it to chirp. You can barely hear it, like sniff, 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 sniff.
Sure. You can just feel its sort of vibe on the record though.
Yeah.
This is your sort of Trout Mask replica. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, for sure. This is our Billy with a mountain. For sure.
Man.
And if any of our fans get that reference,
kudos I was with you for the Beefheart one.
Yeah.
What was it? Billy with the Mountain?
Billy was a mountain?
Okay.
Billy the Mountain? Frank Zappa?
Yes.
Zappa,
Okay.
Zappa. Here we go.
Yep.
Zappa, Andy, I think we've had this conversation before about how I'm more familiar with Beefheart than I am Zappa. So I do need to get, do that Zappa deep dive at some point.
Season 3.
There we go. Let's get him on the pod.
Well, we'll
get Dweezil and Ahmed and
Moon Unit
and Moon Unit on the pod.
Yeah.
All right. Is it set list time? Do you have other questions?
Let's do some set list. So, something that we did last season for MXPX is John and I put together our top 10 songs, not necessarily our favorite songs, but a set list of what songs we would like to hear live. Not necessarily like, these are going to be our favorite 5 Iron songs of all time, but something that we feel like would be a great set list. And as somebody who creates the 5 Iron set list, we thought that would be a fun exercise to do with you as well.
Yeah, man. I got my list.
Sweet.
Let's do this.
Hell yeah.
Just do it.
Shia? Is that the beef over there? Andy, why don't you share your list with us first?
Okay. So we and this is 10 songs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the intro count as a song?
I think that's a gimme.
No,
Like the
that's fine.
walkout music?
No, go for it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So back in the day, we did Doctor Who theme,
Love it.
Mhm.
and I always loved that. It got kind of old for a while, but definitely that would be the intro music.
Bleeps and
And we
bloops.
bleeps and bloops, and we would open with Cannonball.
All
Good
right.
one.
Reason why is I've always loved that song, and ever since the band broke up, we don't play it anymore. And I'm like, come on, guys, this is a good song. I want to play it.
It's a great
So,
song.
This is a spiteful first entry. And then I think from there, of course, you got to go into handbook.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Now we do segues,
Mhm.
where we run songs together. So, and there's usually 3 in the beginning. So Cannonball, handbook, and then from handbook into milestone.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So all drum heavy songs, of course. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And we take a little break, right? And then there's going to be 2 songs together. And that's going to be Into Your Veins
Yeah.
and Into So Far.
Okay.
Okay. And then the next 2 songs that are going to run together are going to be Blue Comb, One Girl Army.
Ooh, I like that.
Then we would do one song. We would do Dark and Stormy.
Okay.
And then we would end with So We Sing.
Cool.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Dude, that's a great set. I would be happy as a fan with that set.
100%.
Are these, so you mentioned I think off mic that like you do create the set list, but part of what you're thinking is like what the fans would want to hear. But are those also songs that happen to be drum parts that you enjoy playing, or is it kind of a mix of stuff that you like and that fans would be into too?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both.
Sure.
I mean, so I used to love playing Cannonball live.
Uh-huh.
I would go ham on that song every time we played it live. And I've always wanted to bring it back, and it's not out of the question, but there was never really the right time to do it. Handbook is a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And when the band drops out and it's just Reese and the guitar, to hear the whole crowd sing that back to you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, it's like, there's no feeling like it in the world.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not even, it's beyond adrenaline. It's just like total, I don't know, euphoria. It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there an ideal kind of song for you playing live? Like does the special crowd reaction like that trump anything else for you? Or is it like there are particular intricate drum parts, or like where the drums are doing different things throughout the song that make it fun for you to play?
Well, I don't like to play overly complicated songs.
Sure.
But I like live. For me, it's all about like the energy. So like songs like American Kryptonite are such fun live songs to play.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, any song that has that sort of punch to it.
Yeah.
I like playing that kind of stuff live.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
So
good list. I like that list. Thank you for doing that homework. Are you going next, or am I?
I can go next if you want.
Go for it.
I don't have walk-on music.
Got to think about that.
it was MXPX that got us to start doing that.
Oh.
Yeah. Nice.
We never did it the way that we do it now until we started playing shows with MXPX, and I was like, I want to do that, man. Like, why have we never had a cool walkout thing?
Yeah.
We did it on the last tour, so maybe we didn't get it from MXPX, but watching them walk out to like Baba O'Reilly or The Boys Are Back in Town, it's like, that's really cool. I was like, oh man, we need to do that.
Doctor Who is a great pick. That's probably like the first song that as a kid I was like, what is this? What is this beautiful synth sound? It like blew my mind as a little kid. So yeah, that's a good one.
Who's your doctor?
See, I'm not actually like a proper fan, but
okay.
I grew up watching it. My parents liked it, so it was like the 80s on PBS. So who's the guy that kind of had like the scarf and the sort of long curly
Tom
hair?
Baker.
Yeah, he was my go-to.
Yeah, he's my go-to too.
Okay,
as well.
That's definitely the era I know best, and I've dipped my toes in here and there, but I should do a deep dive. Andrew will do a Zappa deep dive. I'll do a Doctor Who deep dive. It's gonna be great.
Well, I'll come back.
I told
together.
you my brain just goes off on tangents and I can't help myself.
I mean,
Sorry.
it sounds like us.
This is just, this is me.
This is our pod. This is why they're 3 hours long. All right, so I'll do the Back to the Future main theme, the title theme, as my walk-on song. Got a shout out to my boy Alan Silvestri.
Support that.
I'm gonna open with Old West because there's nothing that gets me more psyched up than hearing that guitar riff start playing. You're just like, all right, I know it's coming. And so you just have those few bars before everything just kicks in and you just get psyched.
Especially the demo version. We play at that tempo.
Goes into Fistful of Sand because I want to get some yelly action in there. And also Fistful of Sand is just an all-timer.
Correct.
Into Farsighted.
Yep.
And then
see now you can't do that because Reese doesn't want Farsighted. See, this is the thing about making a set list.
Hey,
I'm not
running any of this shit by Reese. This is how we're doing it. You get your ass up on stage and dance, monkey.
Hey, what wouldn't he like about that?
That placement of that song. It's too early in the set. Too early in the set.
I mean,
it's really high. It's really at the top of his range, so he tries to save it for last, so he doesn't blow his voice out.
He will have a similar issue with my set list.
Well, he's also because we are entering throat thrashing alley here.
Yeah,
this is the area of the set list where it's just a goddamn circle pit for 3 songs.
I'm with it.
So we're gonna do The Day We Killed. We're gonna go from that to Mind for Treason, and then American Kryptonite. So
wait a minute, I didn't know those songs were on the table.
Yeah, I don't know. For Treason back?
I don't know if I could play that song and sing it at the same time.
Mind for Treason rules. I love that song because, especially the horn part. Because at first you're like, this is just like a hardcore punk song, and then those horns come in. You're like, oh, this is something different. This is something else. So I'm into Day We Killed, Mind for Treason, American Kryptonite. Yeah. And then we start the cool down. We have the high of the energy. But we're just taking it down a bit, you know.
Are we into lighter territory?
No,
yet?
not just yet.
Okay.
We're going into So Far after American Kryptonite. And then Against a Sea of Troubles. And then this is something that would probably never happen, but Blizzards and Bygones, All Frost and No Thaw.
Dude, you're stealing all my stuff.
What? Well, hey, I'm sorry. So Scott comes out.
Just Scott on the piano.
Scott on the piano, and everybody's
like
got
Freddie
their
Mercury.
You got to wheel
Okay.
a grand piano out there.
I'll have like a dope sparkly tracksuit on.
Yeah, and Andy, you can lay in some sort of sequined gown on top of the piano.
There you go.
And then it's closed out with On Distant Shores.
It's a good set list.
It might not make sense, but
No.
these are some songs that I have never seen live. Some of them aren't. Are songs I've never seen live, and I've seen Every New Day plenty.
Yeah.
On Distant Shores, I think, is the end of On Distant Shores. That talk about So you talk about Farsighted being too early, maybe because Reese on Distant Shores has that gets very high on the end of On Distant Shores. But anyway, John, did I stole too much of your? You also have Mind for Treason in there?
No, Mind for Treason. No, I think it's got to be just like some Big Fucking Thunder tracks at this point. No,
I'm gonna have to caveat.
Fair. Yeah, we have a similar approach, Andrew, and yeah, we should say these are set lists that we know are not realistic. I don't have any Mind for Treason on mine, but these are songs that like I want to hear that I don't know that I'll always hear. But I also tried to take into consideration, it's kind of like a mixtape or a playlist where you gotta weave into these songs in and out. You gotta pump up and cool down. So I didn't take so much an approach of like a half pump ups, yelly, and half cooling down. I took more like song by song. But so it's not like a crazy list, but there's some surprises. So yeah, I'd say Open Against the Sea of Troubles.
Okay.
Love that as an opener. Straight into Your Veins. Which, 2 engine tracks up top, but I feel like Against the Sea is such a great opener, and what I want to hear after a great opener is like pumping it up even to the next level after that, which I feel like Into Your Veins does. And then we're cooling it down a little with Get Your Riot Gear, which I don't know when the last time you guys played that was, but
it's been a while. I love that song.
I love that song too, and I want to hear it.
I would totally play that song. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I need to get that on a set list sometime soon.
I think so. I feel like this is the year to hear that song. Like,
yeah,
we often talked about, the sort of prophetic nature of a lot of Five Iron songs, but I want to hear Burn It All Down right now. But yeah, it just feels like a song I would love to hear from you guys, and it's kind of a cooling it down a little bit. But then after that, we go into Farsighted, which even as I was making the list, I recognized was too much too soon, but there's several of those songs. But you go from the high of Farsighted into Sucker Punch, which I didn't necessarily think would make my list, but it's kind of another sort of like cool it down. I'm trying to represent different eras of the band. I feel like people like to hear that one, even if it's not a handbook. But it's a good kind of mood change. Okay, then Sucker Punch into American Kryptonite. And that's where you're blowing your big yelly votes.
Wow.
After that,
well, live, Reese doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't always do the depending on where his voice is at. He doesn't always do it, but like Micah and Brad, I think.
Right. Okay.
And our friend Jimmy, if he's in town.
And
Johnson, he does that sometimes.
Now me and Andrew, if we're there too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but no, that's I love that song live, as you said. I love seeing it live. Okay, then after that, Cool Enough for You. One of my all-time favorites. Another kind of like, it certainly builds up by the end, but that's another kind of like cooling down a little bit after Kryptonite. Cool Enough for You into Fistful of Sand. Like you said, Andrew, just I gotta have that one in there. It's one of my all-time faves. Then I've got Old West as the finale.
Oh wow,
unusual, but it's a great opener. But I
you're
love
ending with "It's Not Unusual."
of course. No, I love Old West as an opener too, and I thought about that at first, but I love kind of starting the vibe of having an Against the Sea as an opening. Okay, so Old West is the finale, and then encore. You guys come back.
Bullshit.
All right, fine. You can call it a song 9 and a song 10. That's fine too. I'm just saying the vibe for this list to make sense. What it is like 9 is like the big woohoo.
Oh wait. So Old West was 9.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were adding an 11th
You
song.
can't-
No.
Look, you can't do the encore yet. You have to do the altar call first.
That's true. Okay, so
and then the encore.
Old West. If anybody here wants to start a personal relationship with the Lord, come forward, and then
as the deer panteth for the waters of my soul.
That doesn't make my list this time. But no, then we do the Blizzards, all frost and no thaw version. Thank you very much, Andrew. I thought this was going to be my amazing take that everybody's going to be blown away by. But yeah, start out just Scott, then the full band comes in. I love the actual version of that song. I love the fullness of the band, but we both love that version a lot too.
I love that version too. It's funny because I think about it in the context like of it being played live.
Yeah, I know.
And I think about no. I think about how like church people like as soon as they hear like a slow jam and they think it's like gonna immediately their hands go up and they get all worshipy. And just the idea of that happening during that song,
sure.
Like it's very strange emotion. It's like a mixture of like dread and like total peace and joy.
Right. Yeah. Sure. No, I get it. And it does kind of fill the former spot of the like encore sort of being the like quiet worshipy song.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't, that version of the song I don't think would fit anywhere else except for the closer
At
maybe.
the end.
Yeah. So, but I hear you. If there were raised hands, you guys could cut it short and throw some Mind for Treason on or something.
Just have Reese go out in the crowd and start giving people high fives.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
I want to create an alternate set list that's like sort of like manic, where it goes from like Old West to Blizzards and Bygones to Mind for Treason to like On Distant Shores to American Kryptonite to just like have just people be just jerked around the whole time.
What's a song that we haven't played in a really long time that I've always wanted to play again is Litmus.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. I would like to hear that.
Like that song. Like every song on that record.
This was a fun exercise. This was a super fun exercise. It was super fun to do it with you because you actually craft these. But it's always a fun, just like
it's funny because I can't turn that stuff off because I've been so conditioned to think about a set in that way.
Right.
Because I know Andrew said it just all bets are off. You can make whatever set list you want, and I just couldn't like. It still crept in there. You know what I mean? Like
right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, it's crazy that I can't turn that off.
Yeah, it makes sense. It must be something that you continue to enjoy doing, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I have a love-hate relationship with it.
Sure.
Because I do get frustrated sometimes when you're like, when you put together a set list and you're like, oh, this is the freaking best set list I've ever made.
Right.
And then you get sort of a tepid response from it or whatever. And like, it's not just Reese either. You're not just worried about his voice. Like, I don't want to do Milestone into Handbook into Pre-Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be dead in the first three songs.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing with the horns. They can blow their lips out.
Right.
If they go too hard, too fast. So.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. I don't remember who I was talking to. Maybe it was Reese. Maybe it was Scott. Where we talked about we were talking about someone else's problem.
I think multiple folks have said that you guys wanted to have that as part of the set list, but it like didn't really go over great.
It didn't play. Yeah, I mean, it was and it's weird because that's not really a song that you kind of more vibe to that song than anything.
Right.
The perspective from stage is like, oh, people hate this song.
Right. Sure.
It's weird. It's weird that way with us because, we're used to being more of a punk band than a ska band.
Right. Yeah, it is one that I would love to hear live, but even as I was crafting this fake exercise, it was on my list, and then I was like, I mean, it just doesn't really, there's not really an obvious spot for it.
Yeah.
So I kept it to the bangers, but
I didn't include a lot of fan favorites necessarily.
Right.
Because I remember that's the exact same thing I did with MXPX. Yeah. I was like, I want the deep cuts or the stuff that would never get played ever. That's just kind of
right
where I land.
Well, we had fun. Thanks for doing it with us.
Yeah.
Do we have any other kind of like games he could participate in, Andrew?
Yeah, we do. Andy, as you know, I like to craft little games for people on the pod. This is not so much a quiz as it is what I like to call the Sophie's Choice quiz, where I give you a category and two options, and you have to tell me which one you prefer. In a
Son
game,
of a bitch. Changed it up on me. I knew you were going to do that. All right.
So
Sophie's Choice.
This is a game that I'm calling Oh Andy, well, you came and you gave us a new song, and we sent you away with this dumb game.
That was something else.
Yep. I know you're big. I know you're a big Manilow head. So
hey, I like Barry Manilow. Yeah.
Listeners cannot see Andy's face, but let's say it was a furrowed brow and a look of concern.
All right. Well, game title aside, like not a lot rhymes with Verdecchio, so I went with the Mandy parody. Everybody knows I'm a Weird Al fan. This is just kind of in my veins.
Into your veins.
Into my veins. All right, we're starting off. First few are going to be music related.
Okay.
Two-tone bands, The Specials or Madness?
Oh man, The Specials.
Specials. What's
because like the thing about The Specials is they did that thing too where they came back after a long time and released the record, and it was really great.
Yeah.
Not that saying that our album's going to be really great, but like when we came back, it seemed like people like it. Yeah. Anyway, and so it's tough because I don't like any of the later Madness stuff.
Okay.
But the early 80s stuff,
yeah,
I love. Like that is like integral part of my catalog. But I think The Specials. I think
okay.
I'd have to go with The Specials.
Deal. I would probably land there as well. Third wave, Boss Tones or Less Than Jake?
Less Than Jake.
Oh, interesting. Is it? I mean,
I don't
more of a relationship with those guys, or is it you just prefer their catalog overall?
I don't really like the Boss Tones that much.
Oh wow, hot take.
I mean, no. So it's not. So it doesn't. Their brand of ska doesn't appeal to me. I recognize that they're. I recognize that they're amazing musicians and they do write good songs. It's just something about it doesn't appeal to me. I have utmost respect for those guys.
Sure. Yeah, they're another band that's working on some new music. It's gonna be releasing a new album.
Right.
Excited for that one as well. Let's go with some more OG punk bands. Bad Religion or the Descendants?
Descendants.
Right on.
Interesting.
What was your introduction? Because they've been around since, what was it, like 79, I think? Was that when they started? Something like that, 78, 79? When did you,
my
what was your
introduction, first time I heard them was on the Streets of Fire Santa Cruz skate video. It was during, I mean, they had a few tracks on that. Silly Girl, Coolidge, Descendants was on that one, the theme song. So that was the first time I had heard them.
Yeah, they're one of those bands.
And then I went out and bought like 3 cassettes right off the bat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. They're one of those bands that you would think as long as they've been around, their discography would be bigger than it is, but like they just have such large gaps. And I know that, you know, Milo did some schooling and all that, and guys went on to start All and everything, but like between 96 and 2016 they only put out 3 albums. So they I don't know if you're following in their footsteps, putting, you know, these nice big breaks between records. But I mean, because I know that you're a Bad Religion fan, but I
love Bad Religion. It's because Bill Stevenson's my favorite drummer.
Gotcha. Okay.
My favorite punk drummer.
Okay. Right on. Speaking of drums, let's talk drum gear for a second.
Sure.
Attack or Badger?
Attack?
Yeah. I thought
I don't even Attack drums?
Yeah.
I never heard of them.
I thought that I saw that you had like used some of their drum heads and some.
So, yeah. So Attack are drum heads, and Badger is actual drums.
They don't. So what's the? I was trying to look up some of your gear, and it was kind of hard to come by. But the Badger was the stuff I'd found. But so yeah, school me on what some of the differences in some of this gear is.
Attack were I haven't used Attack drum heads in. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Even before Five Iron broke up, I stopped using those. But I use Remos now. So the obvious answer there would be Badger, because I don't even use Attack anymore. But the difference between a drum head is the skin that goes over top of the drum, and the drums are the actual, or the shells are actually the wood parts of the drums. And
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know shit about drums. So
well, you just learned something. So
yeah, I did. And everybody who's listening who plays drums is like, fuck, Jesus Christ, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So is this stuff with Badger? It sounds like this is more of a recent partnership with them, or how did you get hooked up with them?
Well, they just approached me and he just said, look, I want to build you a drum set. So he built me this kit. It's a red Sparkle. They're Bonham sizes, early Bonham before he went to the 26-inch bass drum. This is 24, 13, 24, 16. And yeah, it's a 16-inch shallow bass drum. So it's and the way I have it set up too is I have it set up with felts instead of a pillow. So there's just one felt strip on either side. So you really get the inside of the sound of that drum. And yeah, man. And he made me a custom head that's got my family's. So we have this wrought iron V for Verdecchio. And it's been in my family for a long time, and I took a picture of it, and he put like an emblem. I could show it to you.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
And then, of course, I have the laurel wreath around it.
Cool.
So, stand-up comedy. Pete Holmes or Patton Oswalt?
Ooh. Oh, man. That's a hard one. I mean, see, the thing is I love Pete Holmes' podcast.
Yep.
He made it weird. I love it.
Yep.
And I love that. I love that stuff that he does.
Yes.
His stand-up is amazing too, but that's the stuff that I really love from him. But Patton Oswalt, I have to go with Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. Okay.
I have to go with Patton Oswalt because, for one, I'm a big true crime fan, and his wife helped catch the Golden State Killer.
Yep.
And also, like, I love when he pops in, his voice pops up in like
cartoons,
Gravity Falls and stuff like that. I get so excited.
I love that show.
So
I love Patton.
Yeah. And when he did the Star Wars filibuster thing
on Parks,
like I've watched that entire thing an embarrassing amount of times because I think it's so funny.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, he's a genius. I know that you have been trying to eat healthier and eating some vegan options these days. Beyond,
I'm not a vegan, but
no, I know, but best vegan burger, Beyond or Impossible?
I think I like the Beyond burgers better. I mean, that's what we typically get from the grocery store. So
yeah, I've had Impossible maybe once or twice, and it's fine. I don't know. Beyond is just.
I'll tell you a secret. It's all just kind of fine. Vegan food. It's not bad, but anytime a food is pretending to be another food, it's never going to be as good as the original food. Yeah. So I'd rather just not have the charade and just have strips of, seitan and buffalo sauce and just call it buffalo, instead of going vegan chicken strips. It's like, just let it be what it is. It's good, you know? The Impossible burgers are good.
Yeah, it's gotten better in recent years, but yeah, it's never going to be a 1-to-1. But it's also vegans shouldn't have to eat hot trash if they want to have a burger.
So, I think technically I'm a pescatarian because I eat fish. So like my ideal meal would be like salmon and cauliflower rice.
Yeah.
But I actually make it taste good. That's the thing.
Just got a couple more here. These are two questions that I asked Reese, and I want to get your thoughts as somebody who still lives in Colorado. Best venue to play in Denver, the Fillmore or the Gothic?
See, that's a hard one because they're completely different venues and size. I think if we're talking right now, playing a show, I would say the Gothic, because we'd never fill the Fillmore. But back, I mean, the final show it's like one of my favorite shows that we've ever done, and that was at the Fillmore. I mean, that was so huge and just amazing. But that's a once in a lifetime thing, I think, for Five Iron. So I would say the Gothic, because it's more our size. Gothic, I mean, I've seen so many shows at the Gothic too, just growing up, and it's been around for so long. And the Fillmore used to be called the Mammoth Event Center. And it was a completely different venue, and it's a great venue, and I've seen lots of shows there. I saw Metric there, and I saw Alkaline Trio there, and Frank Turner. I mean, a lot of great shows there.
Cool.
But I have to go with the Gothic.
Right on. Best burrito in Denver or in that area. Sam's number 3 or Legal Pete's?
Neither of those.
No? Okay.
Neither of those. Sam's, I mean, so
Reese was a Sam's guy.
Sam's is like diner food, so it's like a diner burrito. It's good. I'm not saying it's not a good burrito. And Illegal Pete's is good. It's just kind of like, it's like the Boulder version of Chipotle.
Okay.
Best burrito in Denver. I'm gonna say, and there's gonna be fights over this.
Okay.
People are gonna erupt over this because they know where I'm going right now. And I'm gonna say Santiago's has the best green chili in Denver, and their burritos are my favorite.
So yeah, is this the talking the smothered burrito here? Or
they're all of their burritos. Their breakfast burritos are good. Their smothered burritos are good. Chili inside burritos are good.
Sounds good.
And they have a chicharron burrito. They have chicharrones that they put in there, and I don't know if your listeners know what chicharrones are, but it's kind of like if God drooled on you.
Isn't it? It's like pork or
and
something,
it crystallized, right? And it's that good. Yeah, okay. It's pork belly, but it's cut into really small cubes and deep fried.
Right. Okay.
So it's like super crispy, and the chicharron, and see, that's the thing, is I can't have chicharrones anymore because that's not good for my heart.
Right.
Because I'm old.
I mean, that seitan chicharron, I'm saying everything wrong, is great. Nailed that joke.
Oh, I have. That's funny because I have taken not the Impossible Burger, the other one. What's it called?
Beyond
Burger. I have taken that and chopped it up and used it as taco meat before.
There you go. The soy chorizo from Trader Joe's, pretty good. Just saying.
This is why I do these ask these local spot questions, because once places open back up, I need to know which places to hit when I go to visit. I mean, it's partially it's because I'm curious about your preferences, but I'm also doing my own research.
Now, if we're going overall Mexican food, I'm gonna say this place called Las Masones.
Okay.
By our when we were practicing for Yellow Second, we used to practice at our guitar player Josh's house, and Las Masones was right down the street. So we used to go there after practice all the time, and it's nothing. I mean, it's the real stuff, man. It's so good. It's amazing.
Well,
it's all stuff that you would never find on the menu at Casa Bonita.
Logging this all, Andrew? I'm
trying to write all this down. I'm trying to figure out how to spell some of these places. All right. Well, that is the
sing it.
I'm not singing it because you guys gave me shit for my Barry
No,
Manilow.
I enjoyed it. Do it again.
Nope. Andy was furrowing his brow. So no,
my brow is always furrowed.
He was just processing information that was coming at him.
There was a lot to process.
I want to ask one more thing before we transition out here, which is last time you were on the pod, you talked about your book Little, which came out last year. We talked a little bit about your poetry collection called October. Do you have anything in the works? Are you working on stuff like that these days?
Well, I'm always writing.
Sure.
And I have ideas for stories and stuff. Nothing's really materialized.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to do a graphic novel, and
Cool.
I have an outline for it. And I reached out to one dude, a Denver guy that I met. He's a Five Iron fan, but I met him through Mile High Comics.
Okay.
But he knew some of the other members of the band really well, and we kind of ran into each other at Mile High Comics, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. So,
Okay.
And he may just be busy. I mean, everybody's got weird stuff going on right now.
Yeah.
But and then, like I said, I wrote an outline for a Brave Saint Saturn trilogy if we were going to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm always writing poetry. I write it on my phone right here, usually when I'm bored.
Right on.
I just start writing stuff.
Yeah. Well, folks should check out Little in October. They can still pick those up online. Fully support these writing projects.
I can read a poem if you want, one I wrote recently.
Let's do it.
Okay. So just a little backstory to this poem. My son and I started skating together again. Well,
Cool.
My son started skating and I picked it back up. So we've been going like skate parks and stuff.
Mhm.
He's getting pretty good. I mean, he's got a really solid, ollie, and
how old is he?
11.
Okay.
And it really brought us together. So I wrote this poem. It's called Where the Land Meets the Sky. I feel like we're the same, you and I. You're like showers of rain. I'm the sky. Skate to the horizon. We'll meet there. We are father and son, perfect pair. Crack a sick 360, bomb the hill. Wicked 50-50s. Looks that kill. Motley crew, me and you. Bandaged, broken, battered, and bruised. Crushed like sand into priceless diamonds. You and I, forever alive and skating together where the land meets the sky.
That's beautiful, man.
Dude, that's beautiful. That's so touching.
I love that. Thanks for
So,
sharing.
Yeah, I'm terrible at reading aloud. I get really nervous.
Yeah.
So I stumble over my words a lot. Sorry.
No, that was
it's
great.
fine. Yeah, it was awesome. I just love that you have these side endeavors and you're keeping them up, and folks should check it out if they haven't yet. They should also check out that Five Iron Frenzy Kickstarter.
That's
starting
right.
today through the end of the month. I had that ready to go earlier and I dropped
Hold
it.
on.
So.
Hold on. No, hold on a second.
What do you got for me?
All right, John, go ahead and say this again.
Okay. What folks should do is go check out that Five Iron Frenzy Kickstarter. There you go. Starting today through the end of the month. Support the new album. Check out So We Sing starting today. Ready to see this Five Iron album come to life. So let's support them. Andy, thank you so much for coming back and messing around with us. We always love hanging out with you.
Yeah, man. It's fun.
Well, thank you so much to Andy Verdecchio, returning guest, friend of the pod. Big day for Five Iron. Happy to be able to talk through things with him. I had it pulled up on my phone too. Let us know your thoughts on this conversation, on the new song, on this Kickstarter. Let's get into it. At Magnified Pod on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Subscribe to the pod if you haven't already and give us a rating or review. We'll read your review on the pod. Email us at magnifiedpod@gmail.com.
You can leave us a voicemail at 872-762-4763, 8727-MAGPOD.
Can support us at the Patreon over at patreon.com/magnifiedpod. And you can pick up some merch at magnifiedpod.storeenvy.com. We should say this is our last proper episode for a little bit.
Yep.
Taking a little break as we get ready for season 3. We will keep stuff going for Patreon punks over at the Patreon. In the meantime, we'll also probably pop up occasionally with an episode, perhaps in that break. But for now, we got some wheels spinning, some cool things coming.
Yep. Can't wait. I just want to say, John, it's been an absolute pleasure navigating this year, talking Five Iron. This has been truly a extremely meaningful and life-giving pod season, and I appreciate you, appreciate the listeners, and I hope you guys stick around with us. We'll still be on the socials, but we're really excited for season 3, and we hope that you see us there too.
Yeah, man. Thanks to you for birthing this beautiful podcast baby we were raising together. Yeah, I've had a ton of fun this year. It's truly been a balm in this insane year to have this to work on, and to have it have been such a joy for us. So
yeah.
Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Shadow Producer Jason and Unoriginal Vinyl. And thanks to Heavy Ordnance Studios and Danny Leary for artwork. Well, time has wound down. But only for this season. We want you to be found enjoying the next season.